think this morning about spiritual warfare, at least something about spiritual warfare. And I think probably the way that things are going to go this morning is it'll be the next time I speak to you, it'll be more kind of expository. In other words, getting into this particular passage a bit more. But today we're kind of going to skim on this passage and look at some other texts, bring some other texts in that will help us. So, spiritual warfare. The first thing that I want to point out to us is that we do have an enemy. Okay? As a particularly, Satan, but by the way, when I refer to Satan, okay, generally speaking, I'm referring to Satan and all the demons. Okay? So if I talk about Satan attacking you, what I mean probably is a demonic attack rather than Satan himself. Satan's probably, I'm guessing, got bigger fish to fry than any one of us. Okay, so I guess he's there stirring up wars in the world and who knows what else. But we are all subject to demonic attack. And so when I speak about Satan, if I'm speaking specifically about Satan, that would be obvious. But generally, I'm speaking about Satan and all the demons. And here's another thing. If I use the term or the phrase, the powers of darkness, okay? I think, I use those terms quite a lot. They're not the most helpful terms because it conveys that the powers of darkness are some kind of inanimate force. Some sort of just a power at work, a principle at work in the universe. But when we talk about the powers of darkness, we are talking about created creatures that are malicious and evil and powerful and want nothing less than our destruction in any way that they can bring it about. Okay, so we're not talking about just some sort of force or principle, a yin and yang kind of thing. No, we're talking about living, intelligent, powerful creatures that hate you, that really hate you. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, and they have a certain degree of power at least. So here's the first thing, they do exist. We're told that we're to be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power, and to put on the full armour of God so that we can take our stand against the devil's schemes. He's real, okay? And there are two tricks. I mean, there's nothing new about this. I'm sure you've heard pastors say this before, but it's true. And if it's a bit of a cliche, then, well, it's not a cliche, it's just true, okay? There are two tricks, really, that he tries to pull, it seems, or that people fall for. One is that he doesn't exist. So people in the world, they don't believe there's such a thing as a devil. And so like the invisible man, he can do anything he wants. And then people scratch their heads, why can't we get world peace? Or whatever it might be, you do a door-to-door survey and ask everyone, would you like peace in your life or strife? And most people say, everyone wants peace. Would you like to live in a world that's good? And everyone wants something good, but they scratch their heads. Why can't? Well, the invisible man, Satan as it were, is running havoc, and no one believes he even exists. And so that's a great trick that he's pulled. And now, if you're a believer this morning, then I know that you know that Satan and his minions exist. You know that. And so when I say that I need to remind us that he exists, you can think, we know that, Julie. But for us as believers, functionally, we can often live as if he doesn't exist. In other words, we say we believe he exists, but the way that we're living shows that actually we don't really think that we have this enemy or these enemies that are out to get us. Okay? For example, it says, pray continually in the Spirit with all kinds of prayers, always keep on praying for all the saints. Why? Because we have an enemy. At least that's a major part of the reason why. And yet, how much are we doing that? That tells you something. That actually we forget. Or we perhaps take it for granted. That actually, we don't really need to worry too much. And so we can imagine or live as though he doesn't really exist. He does exist. And the reason that we're explicitly told that in the Scripture to live in light of that knowledge, knowing we have a malicious enemy. And so we'll come back to that in a few moments. But the second trick that he's managed to convince some people of, particularly in the church, or in some parts of the church at least, is that not only does he exist, but he's pretty much as powerful as God, and he is behind every bit of sin and wickedness and evil in the world, in everything. Every sickness and every disease and everything you can imagine. You know, so someone sneezes and they've got a demon. Well, maybe they've got a demon. Probably the sneeze is not likely to be a symptom of that. The Bible doesn't say that. Give us that, at least anyway. But it's the idea that there's a demon behind every door and under the bed and, you know, everywhere. In the trees and in the woods and everything else. We mustn't give him too much credit. Yes, he is a powerful foe. But compared with God, he really is nothing. The only reason that he exists is because he ultimately serves God's purposes. If he didn't, and one day he won't, he'll have no more purpose. And God will cast him forever into the abyss. So we don't want to fall on any side of the fence, as it were, or be like the proverbial horse that a great theologian talked about, Jonathan Edwards. He said that Christians are like cowboys that jump on a horse and then they fall off one side, and then they jump on again and fall off the other. We continually do this. We are on one side or the other. No, we want to be, I hate this word actually, it's not a good word to use when you're preaching, but we do want to have some balance here. Okay? The reason why I don't like the word balance, by the way, is because the Christian faith is not balanced, at least not in this world. It's radical, absolutely radical. But as far as how we understand this, we need to realise on the one hand, yes, we have a real and a malicious enemy. On the other hand, we mustn't attribute everything to him, so give him far too much credit. There are some people who seem to glorify Satan more than God. They talk more about him, their lives are dominated by him more than God. We certainly don't want to be in that camp. So he exists. Just a few other evidences of that. It was Satan, wasn't it, that deceived Eve? Okay, we know he exists. It was Satan in Luke chapter 22, verse 3. It says that Satan entered Judas. If they're terrifying, awful words to read in the scriptures, is that Satan can enter in some way a person. Entered him. It's horrible. But he did. It was Satan, look at what it says, this is in Acts chapter 5, verse 3. You don't need to look all these verses up, but I've got them all here, so if you want them all afterwards, you can take them out. But Acts 5, verse 3, it is Satan that filled Ananias' heart. Filled his heart. I'm not going to tell the story there, but he was among God's people, bringing the offering, and all the while probably thinking everything was dandy. But Satan had filled his heart. He probably didn't, he certainly didn't know it. He found it out, and so did his wife. Satan is very real. And Satan and the powers of darkness, all these minions, all those demons, they exist now and are at large in the world, working. They're active. And in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2, we've looked at this in the past, it says this about us. As for you, well, speaking to the believers then, but it applies to us as believers, as for you were dead in your transgressions and sins in which you used to live, look at what it says, when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air. Okay? In other words, unbelievers are following Satan. That's what it's saying. And we, those of us certainly who were once unbelievers, and lived out there in the world, we were following Satan. I was a follower of Satan. That's what I did. But not only that, it tells us something more there. Which you used to live when you follow the ways of this world, and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air. This is what it says, the Spirit who is now, and that applies to now as well, who is now at work in those who are disobedient. Satan's at work. It says in the older translation, in the sons or the children of disobedience. Satan is working through their disobedience. He's very real. He's at work. He's at large. But he's not all powerful. In Job chapter 1, verse 6, this is what we read. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord. Now, the demons are fallen angels. It says this, and Satan also came with them. And the Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth in it. Satan is there before the Lord, and he asks God, or God points out Job, his servant, and Job says, have you seen my servant? Sorry, the Lord says, have you seen my servant Job, a righteous man, righteous in all that he does? And Satan says, if you, basically says this, let me at him, and we'll see how righteous he really is. That's Satan's response. God says to Satan, okay, you can afflict him, you can afflict everything he's got, but you can't touch him. And so God sets the parameters for Satan. Satan's no match for God. God sets the parameters, and then Satan was allowed to do everything that God let him do, up to that point and no further. So, Satan is no match, as I said a moment ago, for God. Satan is not omnipresent. In other words, unlike God, he's nothing like God. God is omnipresent. God is everywhere. So we say, where can I go from your spirit? If I go to the deepest depths, into the highest heights, into the furthest, to the west, and to the east, that's where you are. Psalm 119 is everywhere. The Lord, there's nowhere to go where the Lord isn't. But that's not true for either Satan or any of the powers of darkness. They are geographically confined somewhere. They can only be in one place at a time, like us. And so again, I'm going to look up, there are other verses we could look at, but that verse in Job talks about how Satan was roving to and fro throughout the earth. He was here, and then he was there. And then he was in the presence of God. In Revelation chapter 2, in verse 13, Jesus writes to the church, I think it's at Smyrna, he says, I know where you dwell, where Satan has his throne. At least at that point, there is a place from which he seems to rule over this world. See, he's geographically, he's not everywhere. And then combine that truth with this. Demons, as far as I can tell, there is no biblical evidence that suggests that demons can multiply. Okay, they're not like us. And in fact, when Jesus was asked about heaven and marriage, Jesus answered, at the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. In other words, there won't be any marriage in heaven, no multiplication. Okay, and so demons can't multiply. You can see. So this means that if we're going to have a right understanding of Satan and the powers of darkness, we need to understand they are very powerful. You've only got to look at what they did to Job. They destroyed everything he had. They killed all of his children. They destroyed his home. And they afflicted him so that he was covered from head to foot in some kind of disease or something, some terrible skin condition. They can do damage. They can do damage to us. They can do damage to our children and our families. They can do damage to all that we own. The demons even can control the elements. For a long time as a believer, I thought only God can control the elements, but again we see that in the story of Job. He caused a wind to come and flatten the house, killing all the sons. God allowed him. With God's permission, he can do even that. So he's powerful, he's malicious, but they don't multiply. And here's the thing about them not multiplying, okay? However many there were on the earth 2,000 years ago, for example, in the time of Jesus, there's at the most, there's that same amount. Almost certainly there's less, because some of them have been cast. It says, Jesus cast demons into the abyss. So some, there's a smaller number now, but even if there is the same, the population of the human race has multiplied untold times since then. So if you sort of do a scale, if there was one demon to one person then, now there's one demon to 10, or maybe a lot more than that. So, they're just some truths about the powers of darkness. Probably the most important thing for us to know about the powers of darkness is this. Colossians chapter 2, verse 15. When Jesus died on the cross, this is what it says. Having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. Okay, so if you think, the Bible says that Satan's like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour, but the reality is, if he's a roaring lion, he's got no teeth and no claws anymore. You might think to you last night, well, how does he then destroy people's lives and do all these other things? Well, we'll come to that in a few moments. But we have an enemy that hates you and me, that hates your children, and given a chance, will destroy. Second thing, in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. Our enemy has schemes. Put on the full armour of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. You have an enemy and he has schemes. Now, about the devil's schemes. Okay, we shouldn't imagine that he's so clever that we can't work out his schemes. Okay? In fact, we don't have to work them out. The Bible tells us what the devil's schemes are. So it's good, we have this enemy, and God has revealed to us what are his schemes so that we can take a stand against them. And that's what it says here. Put on the full armour of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. In other words, there is no reason why he should be allowed to succeed in any of his schemes against any of us. No reason why. If he succeeds, it's because of disobedience or ignorance, largely. And neither are his schemes the sort of the possession of a few kind of super spiritual people that may come and do some seminars now or whatever. And that's based on their observations and experiences. No, everything that we need to know about the powers of darkness has been given to us here in the Scriptures. People come up with other stuff that's not there in the Scriptures. Well, we don't need to know that. That's just the truth. He's given us everything we need for life and godliness. Right there in the Scriptures. But he has schemes. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 2, chapter 2, in verse 11, it says, in order that Satan might not outwit us, this is what it says, for we are not unaware of his schemes. We should be aware of what his schemes are. Okay? So, we're going to look at some of his schemes. I want to draw your attention to this little book. I've mentioned it to some of you before. I don't know of a better book. I've read a good number of books and there's a lot of rubbish books out there. I don't know of a better book about the devil's schemes than this book. This is written by a Puritan. This is by a man a long time ago called Thomas Brooks. It's called Precious Remedies Against Satan's Devices. And it's a book that looks at all the different schemes that the Bible teaches us of the devils, and looks at how the devil works and gives us remedies. Teaches what does the Bible say about how to identify those schemes and what to do about it. So look, I would really recommend buy this book. It's at some point in your Christian life, the earlier the better. It's not the easiest book to read, but it's worth reading. Okay, get this book and read it. Don't be in ignorance. Praise God for Thomas Brooks. And some of what I'll be saying to you comes from him. Now, we haven't got time to look at all the devil's schemes. There's lots of schemes. But we can sum them up, and that's what we'll do in a little while. But we're going to look at just a couple of schemes. So the first one is bait and hook. Okay? This is the idea, and you'll be familiar with this, that when Satan schemes, when he wants to attack us, is to tempt us. And he uses bait. He shows us only the bait. And boy, does it look good. What you don't see is the hook. Okay, just like a fish, if you want to catch a fish, you put a juicy worm in it, you cast it out, and hopefully the fish see the worm and think, I'll have some of that, chomp on it, and that is it. Then they get reeled in. Okay, bait and hook. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6, what does it tell us? That Eve, when Satan tempted Eve, says she saw the fruit, that it was good for food and desirable for gaining knowledge. That's what he showed her. But there was a hook, and he didn't show her. He didn't show her the payment. He didn't show her what would follow. He didn't show her the carnage as the whole human race fell into chaos. He didn't show her the wars that were going to rage from then on. He didn't show her the abuse that would happen in families all over the world, the misery, the death, the pain, the disease. He didn't show her any of that, just a piece of fruit. Bait and hook. Listen, when you are tempted to sin, of course it always looks appealing. Of course, that's all he's going to show you. That's all he's going to show you. And we need to be wise and know that behind that, there is devastating consequences. Okay, so that's one of his tricks. He did the same with Jesus, didn't he? When he tempted him at the beginning of his ministry, he says he led him to a high place and showed him all the kingdoms of the earth. And their authority. He said, they're mine, I'll give them to whoever I like, and I'll give them to you, Jesus. If you just do one act of worship, just one little act of worship, that's all it will take. He didn't show Jesus the death. We can't imagine the devastation had Jesus succumbed to that temptation. If God sinned. We think it's bad that Adam and Eve sinned, and it is. We can't begin to imagine what it would be like had Jesus given in. So there's the bait and the hook. I'm going to just read you, hopefully this will encourage you to read this book. A little quote from this book to that end. It says, talk about temptation, the temptation of the evil one. There is an opening of the eyes of the mind to contemplation and joy. In other words, we see and we think, oh, that's really good. And there is an opening of the eyes of the body to shame and confusion. In other words, once we've eaten or sinned, then comes the shame and confusion. He promiseth them the former, but intends the latter. And so he cheats them, giving them, listen to this, giving them an apple in exchange for paradise. As he deals by thousands upon thousands nowadays, Satan with ease puts fallacies or false things upon us by his golden baits, and then he leads us and leads us in a fool's paradise. You understand what he's saying there? Bait and hook. And then keep as far away from temptation and sin as you possibly can. You see, this is how we fall for it so often, too much of the time. We're like the moth that wants to fly as close to the flames as possible, right? In all kinds of sins. You think it's all right to say this or to do that or to respond like this. We're not going to go too far with sin, but we'll allow ourselves to carry on down the path of sin, whether it's in our arguments within our family, or whether it's to do with immorality, or whatever stuff we're watching on the TV, or things that we've decided to use our time for, whatever it might be. I'll only go so far. Keep away. Don't even set foot on the path of sin. Romans 12 verse 9 says, love must be sincere, hate what is evil, and cling to what is good. Don't begin to compromise. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 says, your boasting is not good. Don't you know that a little yeast leavens the whole batch of dough? Just a little affects the whole lot. So that's one of his tactics, and then we're going to look at just one more, and then we'll come to a close. But the second one is this, a lessening of sin. This is another one of his tactics. It's not a big sin. He minimises how bad it is, the severity of it. Again, we can go right the way back to the garden series. They were just eating a piece, it was just a piece of fruit, right? The problem is, it wasn't theirs, was it? You think about this. How many of us in our childhood days went scrumping? I did it all the time. Over someone's garden, help myself to a nice plum or an apple or whatever. It wasn't mine. If you ask me, well, it's, what's wrong with it? It's just that it's only a piece of fruit. There's plenty more fruit on there. Can you imagine Adam and Eve? You can't. It's just all it is a bit of fruit. That's all it is. It just looks nice. Really, what harm can come with a little bit of scrumping? That's what I thought when I was a young teenager. And in fact, younger than a teenager. What harm can come from it? And so, Satan deceives us. Small things we minimise. It's not really that bad. It's just a small thing. For eating a piece of fruit, this is what we read. Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people, because all sin. Think about that. It's not alright, is it? Small, there's no such thing. Hebrews 3, verse 13. But encourage one another daily. There's a challenge for us. This is the command of God. We are to encourage one another daily. So that tells us something, doesn't it? Immediately. Encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. We get deceived by our own sin. It's only a small thing. 1 Timothy chapter 4, such teachers come through hypocritical lies, whose consciences have been seared as with a hot iron. See, Satan knows that when we sin, do these small things that don't seem to have any consequence, our consciences are becoming seared, less sensitive, so that sin just becomes easier and easier. That's the scheme of the evil one. Just small things. Anyone that says to us, oh, it's only a small thing, you don't need to worry too much about it. If you find yourself saying to another brother or sister about a sin, oh, don't worry too much, it's only a small thing, then you're one of those hypocritical lies. I've been one, I know that, I'm sure I have. Such teachings come through hypocritical lies, whose consciences have been seared as with a hot iron. You want sensitive consciences. Other schemes, well, Satan makes things appear morally good. We can rationalise it. I'm doing a good thing. got time to get into that. Let me just summarise. We'll look at some more of his schemes and we'll get into the text a bit more next time, but let me just summarise it like this. Satan's primary tactic in all of his schemes is lies. It's not always. Not always. So if it's only lies, then we're going to get called out. But lies. And John chapter 8 says, you belong to your father, speaking to the Pharisees, your father the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, but he is a liar and the father of lies. Well, we're going to think a bit more. We'll look at George quoted 2 Corinthians chapter 10 earlier. We'll be thinking about that next time I preach. That we've considered we have an enemy. Number 2, he has schemes. What we're going to consider next time is that we have a defence and we have